Two of the biggest car competitors of the 21st century are going to be the Ford Bronco and the Jeep Wrangler. And I gotta tell you, the Ford Bronco's killing it.
Yeah, oh, it's killing it, all right. Just like how Ford killed it in the 90s, well, you know, when they discontinued the Bronco.
That doesn't matter.
Oh, it
It
doesn't
came
matter.
back better than ever, and this car caused a 20% drop in sales in 2022.
Yeah, but unlike, you know, that, this has been around since the 40s. I mean, look at it. It's literally looks like a World War II military vehicle ready to destroy any kind of off-road trench wherever you might throw it at.
I'm glad you think it's great that this car has an 80-year-old design. Anyways, guys, let's get right into the video. I'm Aiden.
And I'm Evo.
And you're watching Gaudin X. But overall, I mean, we're just on the trail right now. This is nothing crazy, but the off-road experience of this already, I can tell you, is going to be better than the Jeep. The suspension system in the Bronco is just so much better and capable, just in my opinion. Not that Jeeps are bad, right? They handle really well off-road, but I think the Bronco is just better. But we can talk about a little more of those off-road features later when we have them side by side and I can actually rub it in Evo's face. Because you know what he doesn't have? Independently locking front differential. I have that. So that's the only thing I can think of right now.
So out in the Wrangler, we have the 4XC. We're out here in kind of the off-road trail. Honestly, I gotta tell you guys, this thing rides really, really well. This one does have aftermarket Fox shocks. As you guys noticed with those 35-inch tires, I think they put them on so they could kind of clear the tires a little bit more. It rides super nice out here. I mean, this road isn't obviously the best. It's an off-road kind of gravel trail. It could be worse, but it rides really good. I do have it in 4 high currently because just why not? We're off-road, we got to test it. I personally kind of do like this hybrid drivetrain for off-roading because you get a lot of low-end torque. So when you're kind of like crawling up, the car will ride. Right now it's the engine's on, but when I was creeping up here earlier, it was in electric mode. So it's pretty cool because then as soon as you blip the throttle, it has the instant torque to take off. So if you ever need that, just that little more push to get over like a little, I don't know, like a hill or a little conclave thing, you can definitely go ahead and do it. It is really good. I do like this powertrain. Like I said earlier, I would love to test the 392 out here. I think it would be really cool. I do think it'd be front end heavy, but then again, not too sure on that. That's something we'd have to test, but it's fun. I mean, I am having a lot of fun with this thing out here. It's definitely a lot different doing it with a hybrid than it would be with the regular V6, because like I said, sometimes the engine just shuts off and you're like, am I still running? But overall, great. I do like it a lot. And the ZF is fantastic. I mean, it's constantly adjusting for the fact that, you know, you have an incline or whatnot. The one thing I do got to give the Bronco though is the Bronco does have different drive modes. This one does not. So you can't throw this one like in Baja mode or anything like the Bronco can, but I mean, essentially, I guess you are the mode inside the Jeep. So yeah, you guys let me know down below what you guys think. Would you guys prefer the different drive modes of the Bronco, which are known as the GOAT modes? I think they're super cool because they start adjusting everything on the Bronco. Here though, you don't have that. You kind of just have your manual old school, you know, lever to put it in 4 high or 4 low, whatever, and that's it. You don't really have different drive modes. But yeah, overall, great off-roader. I really do like it, and I truly do understand why people are always Jeep, Jeep, Jeep. We're gonna go buy one.
All right, well, now that we have these cars up here and out of the road, let's talk about their engine options real quick. This Bronco, currently sitting the way it is powered by a 2.7 liter V6, and it makes 330 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque, 10-speed automatic transmission. The great thing about this engine is it is used in almost every F-150 trim level. You can get this engine as well. So it is a tried and true V6. Also, you can get a 2.3 liter inline-4, the same one in the Ford Focus RS, the Ranger, the Mustang EcoBoost, all of that. You can get that in this too. And if you get the Raptor model, you can actually get the 3 liter V6, which is in the Ford Explorer. What about yours?
Well, actually, I'm glad you asked, because unlike this one, I actually have 5 engine options because, you know, Jeep wanted to innovate a little bit. So this one specifically here is one of, in my opinion, the weirdest ones, because this is a 2-liter turbo, which it's fine, it's normal, but this one's a hybrid. This is what is known as a 4XC, and the way you can tell is you see these little blue markers all over it. This one's pushing about 270 horsepower and 375 pound-feet of torque. You can also get a regular 2-liter turbo. You could get a 3.6-liter V6, which is the Pentastar that they've had forever.
Of course.
You can also get a 3-liter Eco Diesel V6. I wouldn't do that. Not very good. And then, of course, the big boy is the 392 with the 6.4-liter Scat Pack motor, which is something I really want to try. But this one, 5 engine options, 3 engine options. What's your MPG like?
For this, less than 20.
Less than 20.
You got these big 35-inch tires on it. It's
Wow, I got 35-inch tires too, but I get 49 miles a gallon.
But that's a hybrid, which makes less power and, more importantly, less torque than this engine does. And we all know that 8-speed's great, but the 10-speed in this paired with this powertrain is awesome.
Yeah, but ZF 8-speed, I mean,
okay, you can't argue with the ZF 8-speed, but I think they do both have great powertrain options.
I will agree, but I think overall both have great engine options, some better than the others with the Eco Diesel, but we won't talk about that. But yeah, overall, great engine options, honestly, for both, in my opinion.
100%. Interior of the Jeep.
Well, it's classic Jeep. The small dash, very flat. You have obviously the big flat glass that's very vertical.
Don't worry, when a rock hits your windshield.
But you know what? You know what else has a really vertical windshield?
A Range Rover.
G-Wagon. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, I'll give you that.
That's right. But no,
that's about all the G-Wagon and the Jeep. No.
That's true. But no, you gotta, so look at inside here. They did modernize it at least. In 2019, I think they made it much nicer than the previous one. The previous one, all plastic.
Yep.
I mean, you know, just not very good.
The
You
leather
do have
on
some
the dash here, seats, dashboard, everything like that. Nice. And
now you got to remember the reason it has all this leather stitching is because this is a Sahara.
Yes.
If you get a dirt base model, it's all plastic. Yeah.
Crap.
I do like it. The infotainment, the Uconnect. I've never been the biggest fan of Uconnect.
I hate Uconnect.
I think it's very
it's
clunky.
Slow, it's
and
clunky. It's
the
outdated.
Bluetooth connection takes forever.
But this is the old version of Uconnect. The newer Jeeps, newer Dodges have Uconnect 5, I believe, which is the newest version, which is really, really good, on par with Sync 4.
Overall, of course, up here, because you do have the hybrid, you, instead of getting a speedometer, you get the charge level or whatever, which is cool. And then, of course, you get the whole green font.
I like the gauge cluster in Jeeps. They're very unique. This is a very common thing among, like, the Gladiator. Every Jeep, like, off-road vehicle has this gauge cluster. Yeah, it's not fully digital like the Broncos is. Half digital like the Broncos is. But I think these gauges are really unique and they're cool looking.
You do have a very old school sort of, like, it feels good. Like, you know, with the shifter, of course, you get that old school, the Willys 1945 Jeep style. The one thing I do kind of like on the Bronco versus this is that...
I was going to point that out. This stupid transfer case setting knob thing lever they got, this sucks more than anything else.
So it's weird because sometimes you have to, like, really get into it.
Wrench it into its different
and then
modes.
It switches, but on the Bronco,
it's a button.
It's just literally a button, which it's personal preference. I'm sure people in the comments are gonna be like, "This is old school. I like that." Which, yeah, this is cool. It gives you the, you know, the manly aspect of pulling the knob, but the other one has a button.
Until you break it.
Well, this one, you know, I've actually hit my hand on this before. Trying to put it back, I smashed my knuckles into the thing. So, I mean, it is what it is. Overall, this one is, of course, nicer, as we said. I love the brown with the black. I think it matches very well.
Back seats are kind of taken up by the doors and everything back there, but both have decent back seat space. Nothing special to write home about.
Overall, very utilitarian, very basic. I mean, it's nothing to write home about, but, I mean, that's kind of why people buy Jeeps. Classic off-roader. Gotcha. Let's want to move on the Bronco?
Yeah, let's check the Bronco out. All right. Interior of the Bronco.
I will offer it up. I think it's a little bit nicer than the Jeep, but it's also more modern. It's also more modern.
A little nicer?
Listen, I think Jeep can come back, all right?
Yeah.
So, you have Sync 4.
Yep.
It doesn't look like a big screen, though. You don't have a big screen.
So, the Wild Track's an interesting trim level. It is technically higher than the Badlands, but the Badlands...
trim, right?
Yes and no. So, the Badlands and the Wild Track sit on the same level. The Wild Track's designed for Baja, and the Badlands is designed for off-road, like rock crawling. And the reason you can tell, because the one off-road feature this car is missing right now is actually the electronic disconnecting sway bar, which that switch would be right here. The Badlands gets that. That is not an option on the Wild Track because this is meant for Baja use.
Okay.
So that doesn't have it. Plus, for whatever reason, the Badlands comes standard with the larger 12-inch screen and the leather seats. This one comes standard with the 8-inch screen and the cloth seats.
Right, but if you option it up.
You can option it up. Yeah. That is the biggest difference. They're on the same level. They're just built for different purposes. Now, you still get dual zone climate control on this one, heated seats, which the Jeep doesn't have, even though that's the luxury version of that that model. Digital gauge cluster, except for the speedo, and like we were talking about, buttons for your transfer case, not a lever.
Yeah. So the GOAT modes, I actually mentioned
modes.
that in my driving aspect.
You don't have the greatest of all time modes.
Yes, I mentioned that in the driving aspect. So I said I would like if the Jeep had different drive modes. There are no drive modes.
Yeah.
You are the drive mode in the Jeep. I mean, it's essentially you literally just put it in 4 high or 4 auto, and you just start driving.
Do you know what GOAT stands for?
Yeah, greatest of all time.
No, that's not in this.
Is it not really?
No.
What is it?
Going over all terrain.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what GOAT
cool.
stands for, and this is goes over all terrain. That's what it means in this car. Grab handles, though, let's talk about that because that's controversial with this car.
I don't like it.
You don't like it on here?
No, I do not like it. I wish it was here. I'm a big fan.
Not even the Jeep has that, though.
No, I know, but I like resting my hands like this sometimes when I'm cruising. So it's weird. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe it's because this is like supposed to be the rollover bars in case you roll over.
Yeah.
So that's probably why, but I kind of wish it was, instead of being here, be like right here.
Yeah, I agree. The Jeeps are a little weird too. I don't like having to grab in front of me. I feel like this is better than having to grab in front of me, but up here I definitely prefer over either it being on the dash or right here. But the reason it's like that is because the roof being rollover protection and everything that, and with the roofs being removable, I think that's the reason why. Plus, there's not much room to stick one of these on there.
True.
Plus, if that thing was sticking out, I'd bump my head because this is already very low.
Well, also imagine you flip over, you roll it over, and then the thing's just sticking out and impels your head.
Yeah. 5 auxiliary modes.
I don't have that.
On
the Jeep does not have that.
For different things, which
I think they're an option on the 392 Rubicon.
They are, and the spacer lights that we were talking about up front, these turn those on.
Oh, okay, so they are actually connected.
They're fun. Yeah, cool. They're connected, and it's very easy because there's a fuse box up front, and it labels which auxiliary switch they connect to for those fuses. So it's pretty easy to actually add on things to your Bronco and connect them to those auxiliary switches.
Seems Ford made it very off-road friendly.
It is.
To where it's very easy to modify.
Yep, and those switches I was talking about for changing the locking diffs are right up here on the dash. This also has trail turn assist, which I'm not going to use because it makes a really, really nasty noise when you do it because it locks one of the wheels up front. You literally can turn on like a zero radius.
That's cool.
So it locks one of the front wheels and it turns the car on a zero radius.
So it's essentially sort of like the crab mode on the Hummer EV.
Basically.
That's super cool. That's cool.
So you press that button right here.
I'm going to want to see it later.
You're going to want to see it?
Of course.
We should probably
demonstrate it.
We should demonstrate it. Maybe we can on this little pad we're on, but it's a pretty cool mode. Literally, when I went to the Bronco off rodeo, we used it a lot to get around corners, but it's just for tight spaces and everything like that. That's mainly what it's for. Taking the roof off is also pretty easy. Just these
mine's one button.
Yours is one button.
Yeah, so I must say though, with the Jeep though, with the roof, when it goes back, again, it's not a full roof off because you still have the sides.
Yeah.
This one though, on the other hand, I mean, you just pull these and then pull those off and it comes off. So that's pretty cool that Ford designed it. We've explored the wilderness of Nevada. We are probably 5,000 miles into the desert, no water, currently trying to survive.
Out of gas.
Out of gas. Good thing I have an electric hybrid, which is less than 1%, so that's great. But all jokes aside, we're kind of at, I think, the halfway point of the trail.
Yeah.
And we figured it's a good time to stop and kind of just give our final thoughts on both of them.
Bronco's better.
I don't know. I honestly, I'm at a loss for words because it's like, I prefer the look of this thing.
I don't care.
But I prefer the way this drives.
No, this drives a lot better. The powertrain, I think, is just better. I mean, if we're being honest, that torquier V6. I think it looks better. That's a personal opinion, though. The off-road features are plenty on this. Like, you get so many more features for helping you on trails and off-road on this than you do on that.
I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think that with the Jeep, I do kind of like the hybrid drivetrain for off-road because you have that instant torque. Yeah. Like, even when you're kind of, like, let's say you're just crawling, you have instant torque where it just goes.
You have so much torque, in fact, that when you barely put your foot into it, it just spins those tires if you're not on solid ground.
Yeah, and it would just, do a burnout in dirt. But I like it. I truly do. I kind of wish the interior was a little bit better, kind of like the Broncos is. And I do kind of prefer the way this thing drives. I don't know why, but all of the damn Wranglers make this weird, like, humming, power steering noise. I don't know why. It doesn't matter what engine you have.
Not to mention the fact that the steering in the Wrangler is dead. But
Yeah.
20 degrees in either direction,
Yeah,
this car will
just-
not turn.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
too much play.
Yeah.
Versus the Bronco is no play other than on center. But that's normal. So, I don't know, man. I think I'm just taking the Bronco.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know. I think for me to fully decide, I'd have to drive the Bronco Raptor and then a 492,
392.
392, excuse me, 392 Rubicon. I think that would be cool. But if they're sitting here, these two, and I had to pick, I'd probably go with the Bronco myself.
Yeah.
I do really like the way this looks, though. I think the black, especially with these massive 35-inch tires, looks awesome. I definitely prefer the way this
Even
looks.
though the Sahara, at least this one, has no off-road features on it. You can't even lock the diffs on
No,
this.
you can't do anything. You can put it in four-wheel drive.
That's about it.
That's, yeah. No modes, as I mentioned, nothing. But overall, both are great off-road. I love the fact that they came out with this, because this lit a fire underneath Jeep's butt to basically redesign this and be better, yeah. So,
At better competition in the market.
unfortunately, there's one other brand that we'll never probably see something from, Chevrolet, because they decided to make a
The Blazer is a escape competitor now, and
yeah,
not a
it's
Jeep
horrendous.
competitor.
It's horrendous. What happened to the K5 Blazers?
I know.
What happened?
It was the Wrangler, the K5 Blazer, and the Bronco.
Yep.
And now it is the Wrangler and the Bronco are the last things, and the Blazer is now an escape competitor.
Yeah, the Blazer is something you buy to take your kids to school.
Yep.
When you're not
It
cool.
competes with the Jeep Compass now, everybody.
Yeah, when you're not cool.
Good
But if
job,
you want to be
Chevy.
cool,
These two right here.